What's good, everyone? It's Reese here with Jason, 2/3 of Diversified Gentlemen. Unfortunately, Hakeem couldn't make it, but we got a special guest, Dr. King McCray. All right, brother.
Yes,
we've been trying to set this up for a while, man. I appreciate you coming down.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, man. So the first thing we like to ask our guests is, what makes you a diversified gentleman?
Oh man, that's a that's a loaded question, man. That's every time I see that, that's a loaded question. But I think for me, it's the fact that I like to bring so much awareness around financial literacy, bring so much awareness around generational wealth, and bring education to the forefront for our people, right? So the minorities, the African Americans, Black men in general. And there's a lot that we have to abide by and stand on. And my goal is to kind of be that Black Superman and always put that information out there, let people know that, hey, I'm here. Like, what kind of information do you need? How can I help you get to the next level, right? And I mean, I know we always had our sidebar conversations of how we want to help the communities and things like that. So that's just one of the many ways that it makes me a diversified gentleman. So I definitely appreciate being here.
Cool. So where'd that come from? That desire, financial literacy. You just don't wake up one day like, I want to do this. Where'd that come from? Where'd that motivation come from?
Man, honestly, man, I tell this story a whole lot. So for me, growing up in poverty was the biggest thing for me. I grew up it's a little sentimental, man, but in a different household. So most of the time when you think about young black men, you know, most of the time you hear it as they grew up in a single mother household. Right? Well, I actually didn't. So my father was the one that raised me. Okay, he raised me and my two other siblings. So he raised 3 kids on his own while working a third shift job, plus also owning his own framing business and doing that at the same time. And so my position was, I want to make sure that I not only can give back to him, but make sure that my kids don't have to be in that same situation. So when I ended up leaving college from playing ball, he actually came to me and he said, hey, I want you to get in something that you don't like. And I'm like, Pop, what you mean you want me to get in something I don't like? Like, I'm not going to like it. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. He said, no. Hear me out. Get into something that you don't like. Once you appreciate it, once you learn from it, he's like, I guarantee you'll absolutely love it. Yeah. It made no absolute sense to me at that time. I'm 20 years old. Pop, I don't understand what you're talking about right now, but I'm not about to get into something that I don't like. But funny enough, I don't like math. I hate it. I hate math. I still count on my fingers, and my kids laugh at me today. But I learned to appreciate it, and I learned that in math, there is something that I love, which is money. Yeah, I love money. We all love money, but you have to have an affinity to understand what it does for you in your life, what it can do for your family, what it can do for your kids. So my dad gave me my first $200 to go out and get my license to be an insurance agent. From that point on, I never looked back. And that's how I got the affinity or the love for building that financial literacy, because I wanted to give back to him. And now he's already gotten that $200 back already.
That was interest.
Right. That was his first investment in me as far as in building my company. But that was the biggest thing, is like, I want people to understand that just because you're in poverty doesn't mean you got to always stay there. Right. And you know, one of the main questions I get asked is, well, how can I get out of it? Well, I mean, the first thing is you got to want to get out of it.
It's a mindset.
It is. Like, I can't want it more than you do. Like, you have to want to get out of that mindset of, oh, I'm in poverty. Like, there are people that live paycheck to paycheck, day to day, or whatever it may be. Like, one of the main questions that I ask my clients, and I know the answer for the both of you, but I pose this question to anybody that's listening or watching. How do you think about your finances? Do you think about it on a micro level, or do you think about it on a macro level? Right? So my business clients, I ask them the same thing. My consumer clients, I ask them, that question, and they always come to me like, what do you mean? Well, when you think about your finances or your money on a micro level, that's pretty much just day to day. Every single day, day to day. But when you think about it on a macro level, you're thinking about yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the future. There's way more things that come encompassed with it. And I mean, I'm sure we all have heard the old adage, but in order to know where you're going, you got to know where you've been. Oh, yeah. And a lot of people don't know where their money has been or why it went there. So that's how you start the whole process. Start thinking about your money on a macro level. And when I started that, it allowed me to say, okay, there are so many other people out here that I can help. There are so many other people out here that I can teach. And y'all know my slogan, reach one, teach one. Like, that's the thing. anybody that I can reach, I'm going to teach them on something of how to better themselves from a financial level.
So what's an example of a macro level financial mindset?
So macro level financial mindset would be focusing on, again, like your finances yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the future. So what I mean by that is, yesterday, you got to understand why you were in this financial situation that you were in. Why were you broke? Why were you in poverty? Why were you living paycheck to paycheck? Today, you have to change that financial mindset. You have to say, okay, I'm going to choose to not be where I was yesterday. So tomorrow, what am I going to do to better my situation? And for the future, how is that going to change for me?
You ever find yourself being like almost like a counselor sometimes?
Absolutely.
Can I get that emotional connection with
them?
And say, hey, you got to figure this part out before you start to get these dollars out.
Yeah. And so, so one of the designations that I have is it's called a BFA, Behavioral Financial Advisor.
Oh, yeah.
I don't speak to anybody from I'm not the typical financial advisor, right? I talk to people more so from a behavioral standpoint of, I need you to understand why you made the decision you did with your money first before I can even help you. Because until we have that conversation, so I at least have 2 meetings of us just understanding your behavioral mindset. Because in research, I have found that the mindset of somebody that has bad money habits is just like somebody that's obese.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing. People that are obese, it's a problem, right? It's a problem in this, in this country, in this world, but it's because it's a mindset, so to speak. When you see something, you want to eat it. You just eat it just because. It's the exact same thing with bad spending habits. You see something and you just want to buy it just because. Not that it doesn't have to be a need or a want, right? Yeah. I mean, and for some people, there are some people that are addicted. Yeah. There is a true addiction behind just spending money. Right. So if you start to understand or stand up, and I mean, funny enough, you stand up and say, hey, my name is King and I have a problem, right? But I'm realizing that I have an issue and I have to fix it. So in order to fix it, you got to sit yourself down and have that conversation. Okay, what's my problem? What's the issue? What kind of help can I get?
So to get to this point, when they get to you, that means they've identified it themselves and you got something to work with. But what about those who unfortunately don't even know they have a problem? You know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, this culture and commercials and everything just puts that new thing and makes it shiny for you. And then we always talk about, we bring it up in every episode, but like the social media culture, you got to keep up with the Joneses to now now it's just magnified.
Yeah.
And with credit cards and like when you go to Amazon, you can buy something for like $20. And it's like, you want to finance this over 5 pages? It's just the silliest thing now. I'm like,
the afterpay thing.
Yeah, the afterpay. I'm like, wait, what? I can finance this thing over how many months? It's just so silly.
Yeah.
How do they have that, or what would you recommend for those who think I don't even have a problem? Like a quick evaluation. If you do this, you may have a problem. Yeah. Or if you make $2,000 a month and by the end of the month you have $0, you have a problem. Do you have a quick gauge for someone?
I mean, honestly, the best way I can put it is, I tell people like this: do you want to wear Nike or do you want to own Nike? You let me know. Because if you have enough money to buy Nike, to go out and buy the product, you got enough money to own it.
To buy a share, yeah.
So when you think about, when you think about people that are out here buying, the Gucci's of the world, the Louis Vuitton, like you said, trying to keep up with that social media aspect of it, who are you doing it for? Because for me, the way my father raised me, I don't have nothing to prove to nobody.
Right.
I could go to Walmart and get some $9, $9.99 shoes and be A-okay, because at the end of the day, it's not the shoes that make me, I make the shoes. And I got a mean walk, so my swag is gonna be nice at all times.
Right.
It doesn't matter what I have on. So when we talk about gauging it, right? So let's say, again, somebody has $2,000 and at the end of the month they have nothing. The best way that I could put it is, if you were to lose your job today, how would you survive? If you don't have, at least for me, when I talk to my clients, at least 9 months worth of your expenses, not your salary, but your expenses saved up, we need to have a conversation, because that's a problem.
And then, man, you made a good point, because it's like, what are your expenses? Most people don't know that.
Most people don't know.
What does it take for you to maintain your household, your lifestyle?
Right.
Most people they know their salary. I know when the first and 15, that $2,000 getting deposited. But as far as what does it take for this ship to float, you know, they haven't put that much thought into that.
Yeah.
And a lot of this, you can think about it, the emotional. You're talking about the behavioral thing. You don't want to realize it. A lot of people don't want to know because then they're at fault. Their behavior, they're doing something they're doing to make the situation that they're in, that situation. It's not outside sources, it's them. That's probably a hard pill to swallow. You gotta tell somebody, listen, is what you're doing, decisions you're making, put you in a situation. It's like, how do you get them past that? It's like a doctor diagnosing a disease. They gotta recognize the disease first, that they have that disease to be able to treat it.
You know what's crazy? Yeah, just like fitness though, I remember when I got to my base in Texas, they had this bod pod. Everybody was doing it.
I remember that.
Everybody was like, get in here. I was like, I didn't want to know my body because I knew I wasn't right. I didn't want to know my body. I just didn't want to know because, you know, like you said, mentally it would have messed me up. And I can just imagine, you know, you telling someone, they showing up to you, you open up the books, you balance it for them and be like, you in trouble unless you change now. You know what I'm saying? You 45 years old, seeing me, granted, it's never too late, but you like 8 years behind the power curve, which means you, for instance, like a diet, you need to start cutting calories. Hey, you gotta start cutting carbs, right? You gotta start cutting your spending
2 weeks out.
ASAP. You need whatever you put in away for retirement, you need to double that.
Yeah.
Because you're behind the power curve. And I can see how someone is be like, it's better not to know. I'd rather cross that bridge when I get to it, which is dangerous.
It's very dangerous. And that's a lot of the times that's what I encounter, right? Somebody that doesn't want to look in the mirror, so to speak, right? Because when they come to me, I'm the mirror. And I'm like, we're about to have this hard conversation, and you're going to have to look at me. But it's if I don't hold you accountable, if I don't hold your feet to the fire, then you're not going to be able to progress forward, right? It's the biggest thing. And again, if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. So if you're coming to me and say, okay, here's my money that's coming in, but then I'm like, well, what's going out? And then we get to that, when I start seeing red, right? And if I start seeing a negative margin, okay, now we have an issue. Now we have a true problem because you got more money that's going out than that's actually coming in. So how are you getting to that point? Or how are you even getting it to where, okay, you got all this money going out, where is it all coming from? So now we get into the weeds of, oh, well, I had a loan here and I got the payday loans there. And that's the biggest scam that I've ever seen in history. Like, there's no reason why.
Don't do that.
There's no reason why.
So there's no reason why I should be going to a payday loan company and paying 400% interest.
Right.
Period. Like, there's none. And like the biggest thing, you know, that people can realize is, and honestly the book tells it all in here, if you don't have enough money coming in, there's ways to get it. And it's not a lot of hard ways to get passive income. I mean, both of y'all know that, right? There's not a lot of ways to get passive income, but one of the best sections of the book that a lot of people talk about is monetize your possessions. And they're like, I never knew that I could sell this or I could rent this out. It's a whole website out there that if you got a hammer, you can rent out your hammer and people will actually go get it. But
you got a garage, you got a garage, one car. You got a closet, nothing in it. You know, you got a spare bedroom.
What are you going to do with it? Monetize on every single thing that you have. I mean, you can go back. I mean, people honestly do this. Go back and resell shoes and make a killing off of it. Restore shoes. I mean, I know a guy that's, you know, he will go and restore Jordans for people that just love Jordans and they don't want the creases in them and that. He has some method of process that he does he restores Jordans. This man is making money off of making sure that you don't have no creases in your shoes.
Something so simple. Wow.
Monetize your possessions, right? Become their Yoda. It's all of those things make sense.
It's basically getting creative, thinking outside the box, and being a little uncomfortable because that does take some hustle. That does take, you know, we interviewed Martinez, who's a photographer. He's active military, and he just say he's grinding. And he's like, you know, I work a 10-hour shift. Think I want to go out and start, you know, snap pictures, but I'm building something else, and I like the income. I like the extra income. So if you in a tight space where it's like, is it you in a 2-bedroom? Renato, she said, I want no one living with me. Okay, so you want to get a second job? Like, what do you want to do?
Exactly.
You got to do something.
You're comfortable with.
Yeah, so you're telling us all you don't want to do,
Right.
are you down with?
Mm-hmm. Something that I was thinking about, just thinking about, is that at what point are you comfortable with being uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for all that hard pills that I have a problem. I have to fix this. That's that hard part, is that mental switch.
Yeah.
So how do you, as a financial advisor, get people to make that mental switch to be able to recognize that, you know what, I got this debt, I'll pay it off in 6 years. For them, 6 years is eternity.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be debt free and have financials right now done. So how do you get them to get that mind switch that, hey, patience, it takes time to build that up. You know, how do you get them to think?
Yeah, it took you 20
Past
years
that.
to get to this
20
point.
years,
yeah.
It's gonna take you 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't see that.
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
to be out of debt free in a month. Like, that's not reality.
Right.
It takes time.
Right. So I show them the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right. I show them like, hey, if you fix your situation, this is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you stay in the same situation where you are,
Mm-hmm.
this is basically where you're gonna get. But if you don't do anything and continue to do the same processes and really look at how ugly it can get, this is where you're gonna be. So now you got to make a decision: red pill or blue pill. Which one you gonna take?
I think it's good
All
though
down to
if,
decisions. Yeah.
if they are in your face, they're in your office, on their phone with you. I think at least they've taken the first step.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, we all have friends where they in VIP every weekend.
Every
You
weekend.
can see the labels they're wearing. You can see the car they got. And you don't want to count people's money or their wallet, but you know
Can't help it.
where they work.
Worry.
You know what I'm saying? You know their
Yeah,
salary.
you can't worry about it.
And you like, this don't add up. It don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It don't. And it's scary, but that mantra, YOLO, you only live once, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Life's
that's
too
true.
short, and it's just like,
You gotta have a balance.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, there does have to be a balance, but at the same time, you only live once. So why continue to live it the way you've been living and not try to find a better way to live it?
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why? Okay, you only live once, so hey, man, why not? I'm gonna live it up. I'm gonna live paycheck to paycheck, but I'm gonna spend all my money on the weekends.
Right.
Whereas you could live better and still only live once, right?
Mhm.
But you could really expand your lifestyle. So like a lot of my clients are like, oh, I love to travel, but it's so expensive. And I try to do one big trip a year, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, I do about 4 or 5 or 6 trips a year.
Right.
Well, how do you do it? You make so much money. No. That ain't got nothing to do with it.
Right.
It's about how you budget and analyze.
Mhm.
I use one specific company that's still, and to this day, I'm not ashamed to say it. I make payments on it.
Right.
But it makes sense for me.
Mhm.
All I have to do is pay my airfare up front, and I can spread out the rest of the payments. But I get to go to Barcelona because I get to go to Paris and all these other places.
Right.
But it's how you budget it. You can do it, but you have to see the writing on the wall, and you got to know where you are. So it's literally having that hard conversation with yourself of, do I want to continue to be in this situation today? If not, what am I going to do to get out of that situation?
And then also the discipline. So if you want to take those 6 trips, you probably can't be driving around in a $120,000 car.
Absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't have it all up front. You know what I'm saying? So you got to figure out what's important to you. If traveling the world is important,
Right.
what are you gonna cut out? You know what I'm saying? Because you got these resources, and to responsibly be happy, you have to allocate certain resources.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be able to put everything on your credit card and just figure it out, and then pay those minimum payments, because sooner or later it always catches up to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if your thing is traveling, or if your thing is, some people's like nice car, my car has to be nice, or my house has to be really nice because I ain't going nowhere when I leave it. You know what I mean? Some people, they want it all, right?
Yeah.
And that's the dangerous part. They just keep swiping that card and paying those minimum payments,
Right.
or getting those payday loans. Because no matter what, if you have a post and a job, they'll get around that credit score. They'll get creative and give you that loan. They'll get creative and approve you for that credit
They
card.
want to give you that debt.
Yeah.
And you are okay with accepting it.
Yeah.
And you
We
shouldn't.
taught that. We're taught.
Yeah.
To get that credit card.
Man, from the
Pay
time that we
it.
jumped into college at
Yeah.
17, 18, they're like, hey, You get a credit card. You get a credit card. $250, $500. Then your limit goes to $5,000, $10,000. And now you $50,000 in debt.
You're not even talking about student loans.
Student loans, right? Oh, I got to get that refund check. For what? You ain't gonna do nothing but blow it. And forgetting that you got to pay it back later at 4, 5, 6% interest.
And they know that because you a kid.
Exactly.
They know that because you an adult. You're 19, yeah.
Right. So I mean that's part of the reason why, like, when I do college planning for people, I'm like, listen, I understand doing college planning for your kids, 529 plans, UTMAs, UGMAs, so on and so forth, right? Coverdale savings accounts. But at the same time, you need to have a hard conversation, not only with yourself, but also with your kid once they come closer to that age. Do you want to go to college? Is that something you want to do? Because nowadays, you don't have to go to college to be successful.
Not all. Most people.
I said that yesterday.
You don't have to. You could go to a trade school. I know plumbers.
How about trade schools?
I know plumbers that are making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000.
Especially now, everybody wants to do it. Yeah.
So why not learn a trade versus spending debt going to school? I mean, because I'll be the first one to stand up and be like, my kids ain't got to go to college. You don't have to. You're going to do something,
right?
But you ain't got to go to college.
Figure it out.
Absolutely.
But I take myself, for instance. I have or had $140,000 in student debt, but I also got a PhD.
Right.
So I went further on than most people do. But at the same time, it's just like, could I have been just as successful without it? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Because my undergrad is in marketing. I got an MBA, but I own my business. So there's really no point. I got my PhD just because I didn't want to be a CFP. I didn't want to go do the CFP route. I said PhD route. And I mean, my clients respected more that I got a PhD versus a CFP.
So what's the PhD in?
Business and finance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what started you? I know you kind of just touched on it, but no kidding, getting an MBA. Because you can get nice job, lucrative career.
Absolutely.
What was the motivation to continue to push to that 3-4 years and more school and dissertation and more money to invest in yourself to get that doctor in front of your name?
Being black. So, real talk, right? In my industry, financial services, you're not gonna find too many successful black advisors. You're just not. If we looked at it, for instance, I'm working with an organization right now. I'm about to buy one of their offices. I talked to the individual. He said, "Do you know out of 400 advisors in Central Florida, I can count on one hand how many are black? Out of 400, there was 4. Out of 400, and one of them was a black woman. So 3 black men, 1 black woman.
So
out of 400
advisors, and the woman is 0.25.
Yeah, exactly. So I always have to work twice as hard just to get my foot into the door. Then I have to work twice as hard from there just to land the client. Then I got to work 5 times as hard just to keep that client from going to another advisor. So I have to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm staying above approach, right? And just giving them the best value. And one of the biggest things for me was that, let me go do something that a lot of people don't do, which is get a PhD.
Strategic, yes.
My analytical mindset versus a CFP's is completely different because of the sheer nature of how much detail and research that it went into to get a PhD versus just taking a whole bunch of courses and sitting for an exam, which any CFPs out there, I'm not saying anything against you. I love y'all. But I'm just saying, for me, it was a way for me to open new doors and get respect in an industry that I normally wouldn't get it. So my original office was in Nashville, Tennessee. I barely got any business, always had to travel, always spent time away from the family. And I realized I gotta go outside and do more things. So that's the reason why.
Do you think it's like because of the demographic? Like, what do you mean?
It was demographic, but it's also just looking at history as a whole of the stereotypes of black people. We don't know how to manage money.
Right.
We don't know how to manage money. We're in
stereotype,
debt.
not a fact.
Exactly. The stereotype is we don't know how to manage money. We're in debt. We really don't know a lot of different things. But when we think about like going through history, most of the advisors that you see are 50, 60, 70 years old. white, or they're younger, right? 30s, 40s, clean cut, baby face. That's not me. I'm the black advisor with a beard, with tattoos. That's like, listen, I'm gonna be me, but there's nothing like that. You could take nothing away from all the accomplishments that I've ever had. Right? Being labeled one of the top 40 under 40 by Fox News. I'll take it any day of the week. Like, I'm here for that, right? Being labeled as one of the top entrepreneurs of 2021 by Fox News. Being able to have an article written by Yahoo Finance. Like, that stuff for me is important, and it shows that I'm trying to not only change the industry as a whole, but I want to make an impact in this world, in this environment, in this community that's bigger than the norm. So therefore, I'm gonna go outside the box.
Right.
So for me, again, it was getting that PhD, which, I mean, I'm the first person in my family to become a doctor.
So I'm talking.
And that's huge.
Yeah. And do you think, question I have for you, do you think there was a point with you being a black male, PhD in finance, became an advantage for you instead of the other way around? Where now, as you are a minority among minorities, but now it sets you apart, you get more notice more. It's not, nobody like you right now in this area. So now you think that becomes an advantage for you now?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely do. And you know, I mean, I tell people all the time, and it's funny, they're like, what? I'm like, Google me. I want you to Google it because I want you to see the articles that are out there about me. I want you to look at the information that's out there about me. Read my story because I'm honest, I'm blunt in all of it. And in all my articles, all the articles that are out there about me, I tell the exact same stories. A couple different ways of how they ask the questions, but I always tell the story legitly as it is. I couldn't be successful in that environment because I was black or because I was young. And it's like, how many strikes are going to be against me before I can become successul? If I was out here selling dope, it'll be okay, right? That's what I'm supposed to do.
That's what's expected,
right? Or if I was a rapper, right? Or if I continue to play basketball,
right.
Okay, yeah, you're an athlete. It's okay.
That's what you guys do.
Prime example. Let me tell you this story. We went to, God, where were we at? I want to say we were in. No, it wasn't. Oh, we were in Colombia. We went to Colombia, Cartagena, and we went to like this little island resort or whatever that they take you out into the water. You got a day like they're out there on the island with the villas and all that other jazz with a whole bunch of other people. And this guy walked up to me and three of the guys that were with me. He was like, "Hey, y'all play football?" And I was like, "Yeah, for fun." Yeah.
Pickup game.
He was like, no, like y'all play American football, right? He was like, what team do y'all play for? And so just being funny, we were like, oh, we play for, I think we were like the Seahawks or something like that. But it's like, why do I have to play a sport or be a rapper or anything else to be here?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
So, and I took that conversation or that experience.
Well, it was a local that said that?
No. It was just a couple of guys that were from I want to say something like London or something. Like that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's just like I take that experience and I take it in, and I mean, I tell my kids all the time, it's just like be who you want to be, go to where you want to go to in life, but don't allow people to put this imagery on you. Like, you don't have to always live by society standards.
Put you in a box.
Yeah, absolutely. Like become yourself and realize who you are and what you want to do. Like my son, my oldest son, he wants to open up his own dance studio. Like, cool.
Right.
You have a vision, but you're gonna have to get some schooling and some learning behind it. So you gotta go to art school or whatever it may be. But he already has like a vision for himself. Now I'm sure he's 13, so it's gonna change, right? It'll change. I mean, he's starting to play football now, so you just never know. But I mean, when we just look at like going through history and we try to change the landscape of where we are, don't allow people to continue to put those stereotypes and those labels on you. Like, like we said, put you in that box because it's only going to restrict you. But just to have that experience of, oh, you play football. No, I don't play a sport. I haven't played sports in years.
That's what I'm saying. We got to change that narrative that we can be successful outside of those things. Sports, entertainment. We can do more than that. I think your story is so important. If you don't hear, you need to see that. They can see your face and know who you are. You know, their name should be recognizable just like anybody else. They know LeBron James, they should know King McCray. McCray, they should know the same thing. They should know these things because we need to put them out there.
Right.
We need to be more active on that. We don't do that. The mainstream media is not going to do that. They're going to show us doing things we typically are known to do as far as stereotypes. But stuff like this is important to get out there. Right. It's very important. And not just for you, but for the culture. And for the kids watching this stuff, you're like, wait, he's a doctor? He does this? I can do that?
Yeah.
Then to see, you can't,
And
kids can't dream.
That,
they can't dream past what they don't get exposed to.
Right.
This is exposure now. They know about this. Now they can say, that's a thing they know about.
And I'm pretty sure how much schooling was it from undergrad to like
undergrad was what, 4 years? Yeah. MBA was another 2 years. Yeah. And PhD was 2.5 just because I did an accelerated program. Mm-hmm. But I got my PhD in London. So I didn't even get my PhD from the States.
There's nothing right there.
It was a fraction of the cost.
That can be done.
So 9 years basically, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So 18 be 28. And that path is more guaranteed than you trying to go to the NBA.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Do the math.
Buckling up and doing that. Or like you said, learning a trade at 18. I think there's a lot of benefit of doing this stuff at 18, 19. Learning a trade. And at 28, you a master plumber,
right.
Master electrician, killing it. Because we all know as homeowners, freaking pipe bust, you on the phone, I don't care how much.
I don't care.
Get down. Well, we charge you okay. Get your ass down here.
On the weekends.
Hey,
come through. And
I have no power. I had no power. The utility box is on fire.
Yeah.
Get down here.
Yeah.
There's freaking water coming from my ceiling. Get down here. The toilet's not flushing. Get down here. Yeah. Hey, it's $500 on the weekend. Will it be fit? We be here in an hour?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
You know, so like I said, it's that exposure. And you know, a lot of people, they get in their 30s and 40s and be like, dang, I need to switch it up to nursing. I need to switch it up to, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's never too late. Think about if you took that track at 18, 19, 20, right?
Exactly.
And now what you're saying, you could be 15, 20 years in the game, managing these folks, you know what I'm saying? Really sitting back, and now you got 15 years, 20 years of experience, and you teaching these folks and people under you, and they paying you for consulting, you know what I'm saying? They paying you for your time and your knowledge. So I really think that that exposure is very important at all levels, especially the younger kids,
right?
Because look, that's one LeBron James. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And that's like 1 in what, 10 million, right? or more than that. Because I mean, he came around years and years ago, and then
13 years.
Yeah, there's
one
little baby. You know what I'm saying? Like one little Uzi. Cut it out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Cut it.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna ask about is how did you get to writing your book?
Honestly, it came from, and this is not even the first one that I wanted to put out. I've had multiple ideas and various manuscripts that came about. But this one came about specifically from the death of Nipsey Hussle. Mm-hmm. So huge Nipsey Hussle fan. Listen to his various albums, but one of the things that he had said was mailbox money. He was like, how are the others succeeding way more than us? It's because they get mailbox money. And I was like, man, what is mailbox money? Like, I need break that down for me. And listening to other interviews and stuff that he talked about, he was essentially just talking about passive income, ways to get checks in the mail all the time. And you'll hear like the old heads talk about, I'm getting wake up checks, right? So when they work for 30, 40 years, they got their pension, they get their Social Security, they might have had a 401k or whatever, so they basically just wake up and they get a check.
Yeah.
Okay, how can we create something that makes that exact same sense, right? What science is it to it to get that? And I was like, man, there's so many different ways that we can have this passive income.
It's not a damn secret either.
Right.
I like to break it down because it's like literally anyone 12 and up could really comprehend it. Because, dividend stocks, renting your car out, Toro, renting your room out on Airbnb. Right. There's so many things where this stuff is not a secret. It's not like, I think a lot of times we use that excuse that being held back, they don't want to blah, blah, blah. They don't want to do this. They don't want to give us a secret.
Yep.
And it's like the stuff is out there.
You
It's
gotta
not,
look for it.
hey, it's not fun.
Right. And it's not easy either.
It's not easy, and you gotta be disciplined.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
And so
You
that's
gotta
the
be
thing.
disciplined.
People
But
don't want to put action with it.
there's no
Yeah.
secrets.
Yeah.
No secret to it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just like, so in writing the book, it was like, I want to basically put together a how to make passive income for dummies, right?
Mm-hmm.
On a very small scale. I didn't want no 300, 400 page book.
Right.
I wanted it simple,
Overwhelming.
concise, and straight to the point. Like, listen, if you do this, you can get here. If you need an idea, here's one. Like like in the book when I talked about vending machines, I had a lady hit me up and she was like, you gave me the idea of putting my hair in a vending machine. Cool, go do it. 3 months later, she sent me
Some hair. Wig.
Free ponytail.
literally. So I mean, literally, this was probably like last week. Okay, literally 3 months later from putting the book out, she sent me a picture. She has a vending machine inside of one of the malls in Atlanta, selling her hair.
Super smart.
The yaki, whatever, right? The Super 3000 Silky, whatever they got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right there inside of the mall, she was like, "You gave me this idea."
Super smart.
So simple.
Yeah.
And of course, I responded. I was like, "Can I get my 10% finder's fee?" Yeah, but I mean, but seriously, it's just like that's the whole point. I just want to give people that power back that they already had that they didn't know existed.
Yep.
Right? Simple things. You can do it. You just got to go out there and do it. Everybody has so much built into their mind. So how can I monetize that possession? And one of the things I was saying is like, be their Yoda, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give them that actionable knowledge and teach something. So I ended up gaining a client that she owns a property management company.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to sell it. I said, okay, great. You can sell it. Cool. I'm finding her a buyer, all this other jazz. But what are you going to do once you sell it?
What's the plan?
She was like, I don't know. I was like, hold on. You about to inherit, you about to sell this company for X amount of dollars or whatever, but you don't know what you're going to do on the other side.
Everyone, I got 4 properties, and everyone asks, like, why don't you sell this one?
Like,
take that money and do what with
do what? You gotta have a plan.
I don't have and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do what with it? And it keeps appreciating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you're right. It's like, man, that's a nice shirt. I'll buy it for $30. But it's like, what? You got another shirt on? You gonna put on? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you just put $30 in your pocket. Did you need that $30?
Yep.
Right.
Where's that gonna go to? You know what I'm saying? So, man, that's just very smart. Like, it's very and granted, this person sounds like they're in a great financial situation, but still, that's emotional. Like when I did find out that the house in West Melbourne, someone wanted to pay $100,000 more than I bought it for.
Yeah.
Just hearing that, I was like, dang, I wasn't expecting that. So 5 years ago when we bought it, but I still own a property in Central Florida that's still going to continue to appreciate while someone's paying the mortgage. Like, what's the point of selling it?
Yep.
Besides putting money in the bank and then that account is staring at it.
Yeah. So so how we flipped it? I told her, if you just are really adamant about selling it, right? Sell the properties, but keep a lot of the relationships. So what we did is we built a cleaning company, and the cleaning company services all the properties.
That's crazy.
And it was built into the seller's agreement that if I sell you this property, you have to keep us on staff to retain the cleaning. So from there,
so they're exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So from there,
contracts, man.
right? So from there, what we did is because she doesn't want to deal with any of it. So I said, okay, go out and find you somebody that cleans that has a business already. Sell them the cleaning company, but keep a percentage of the profits. So how we did it is you gotta skip, but you gotta buy in. The contract is already there. All the properties are there, and that they're only going to continue to scale, which means that the cleaning company is only going to continue to scale. So in order for this lady to go out and buy the company, she had to buy in. At first, she was like, "Well, yeah, I just told her, just give me 10% of all the cleans." Skirt. No.
Right.
What's her buy-in? She was like, "What do you mean? How is she buying into the relationship? I mean, just giving you 10% is great, but how is she buying in?"
Right.
So no, this is what we're gonna do. If you want this contract and you want this company, we're gonna start at 90%. I get 90, you get 10. Then we slowly scale it down to where I eventually get to 10 and you keep 90. But if you really want it, you're going to see the value behind it.
Yeah,
I'd have picked it up in a heartbeat.
Because you're buying this business.
Exactly.
You're buying business.
I'm going to, as the business scales, I get more money. Anyway, because I'm going from 10% to 90 eventually. And we did it over an 18-month scale up. So in the next 18 months, the business is going to grow anyway because they're acquiring about 2 to 3 properties every single month anyway. Right. So she's just continuously growing. So somebody's buying your company for bulk at a cash offer. Then you're selling your cleaning company, but you're also going to get money from that. So how do we incorporate both of this so you still have income? Now, because now you're only getting, eventually you're only going to have 10% of that income, plus you had this bulk profit that you got. Where else is your money coming from? She was like, I don't know, King, like help me. Why not create a course to tell people everything that you just did?
I'm telling you, man, that right there, that's the stuff is why you exist. You can't find this stuff on Google. You can't Google this kind of stuff, that kind of deal you put together, and how you put the strategy behind it, and the math, and the strategy. You can't Google that. Yeah. This is why you need somebody like him to do that.
It's like you said, the prescription is like, everyone, my situation is unique than yours. Mm-hmm. Let's sit down and talk what you got going on. All right, I'm about to formulate it to your situation. Because also, we could be in the same situation, have the same job, but if I'm 10 years older,
right,
totally different, and I want to retire 20 years sooner, all right, we need to make, how many kids you got?
Right.
Is any in the house?
Right.
You want to pay? Yeah. Hey, how many, how many divorces you been through? You know what I'm saying? What that alimony looking like?
What that child support looking like?
Exactly, right? So all of that goes into play.
Yeah.
And so finally what I want to ask is, say if you are somewhat not financially savvy, but you don't have that much debt and you're doing pretty good, why would it still be in their best interest just to reach out and get a consultation with you or someone like you just to get a gauge on what's going on with their money?
So there's one thing of being financially savvy, but there's another thing of realizing all the different things that are coming down the pipeline, all the different ventures that are out there, right? And we talked a lot about like passive income from a real estate perspective, right? There's active and there's passive real estate. I talked about that in the book, right? Yeah. So having REITs, getting to understand that. But I mean, the biggest thing for me is you never know what you don't know until you ask, right? So what's wrong with sitting down and having a conversation? What's wrong with looking at the bigger picture and saying, man, that may be a good idea. Maybe I should go do that. Or, hey, you want to create a company. I've created 3 of them. So I can help you formulate a plan if you want to really do that. I can keep you accountable. We can have monthly phone calls and make sure that you're where you need to be. I don't look at myself in any particular manner as a coach because I feel like eventually coaching dies off. Yeah. Right? As an athlete, if you stop the sport, the coaching is no longer there. But as an advisor, I can always be in your life because you're always going to have somebody giving you advice in some shape, form, or fashion, as a mentor or whatever it may be. So, or a teacher, right? It's always going to be there. But as a coach, that eventually is going to die out for me. So I don't want to be looked at that aspect. I tell people I'm going to advise you, right? I'm not a business coach. I'm a business advisor because I'm going to advise you on so many different aspects of the business. Even with finances. When I have clients come to me, like, oh, you're a financial coach or whatever. No, I'm not. I'm a financial advisor. I'm going to advise you on the best decisions for you, of course, from a fiduciary standpoint, right? But at the same time, I mean, it's just like, again, you just never know what's really out there. And you could be financially savvy, but I could look at something that you have and say, hey, you could have been a lot better if you did X, Y, and Z. Yeah, right? You can always get better. Because even if you made it here to this standpoint of where you are, where else could you go? Yeah. If you might make one small change. I mean, we talked about the TSP and all that change, right? What a lot of people don't know is TSP is about to come out with a ton of new funds, a bunch of new funds, and that's about to change the game for the TSP. So instead of going from the first 7 funds that they had to blending, taking the life cycle funds. Now they're about to start adding in mutual funds. And it's about to open up a wide spectrum from TSP. But of course they had to, because they came out with the BRS and everything else. So it messed up a lot of people. They were like, oh, if this is going to be my only option, but I need more to come with it. Like, I need more to do with
retirement.
So, I mean, so that's what I would pose to anybody that has questions. I mean, ask questions. Allow myself and anybody in this industry to, take a look and kind of see where you are, right? You never know.
So what's one thing you want to leave with the audience? Just one quick thing.
So I get the book.
Yeah, absolutely get the book. Look out for the clothing line is coming. So Wealth in There. That's one big thing for me is I got tired of wearing other people's clothes, so I decided to wear my own.
There you go.
All right, so this hat by the Dips is me. This shirt is me. I'm not about to wear somebody else's stuff when I can do it myself.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah, Wealth in There is coming out. Look forward to that. Definitely buy the book. But if I could leave the audience with anything, I would say be mindful of who you are, realize where you are, and understand that the position that you're in today, you don't have to be in tomorrow if you make changes. If you want to be better, if you want to grow more financially, spiritually, mentally, however it may be, you have to seriously look yourself in the mirror and ask the hard questions. And you need to just realize that we are more than they think we are. We are a lot more than they think we are. So I challenge everybody to do better, to be better, and let's change the world.
There we go.
What about you, Jason?
I can't add much to that. I'm just saying, what I would say is find someone like him, if not him. Humble yourself to realize you don't know it all. I mean, I consider myself a savvy investor. I know you do too. I read his book, learned something I didn't know. And that's when I thought the point where I thought I was good. I'm good. I got everything taken care of. So always find somebody you know that knows more than you. Attach on to them and ask questions and seek them out. Like I said before, if you can't find him, you find somebody like him and ask those questions. Humble yourself and say, you know what? I need help. I don't know everything. I want to be here. How do I get there? That's all I got though.
And I would say just expose your kids at the earliest age to people in different career fields, people that don't have, that average traditional African-American job, people in finance and medical field, and even those trades where, college isn't necessary because, again, you can have a lucrative career and be very financial stable, retire early, enjoy life with a good trade. And I feel that you exposing your kids and them getting into it earlier, it's always better.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Cool.
So where can I get the book, bruh?
All right, so Your Financial Checkup, the prescriptions to mailbox money. Of course, you can find it on Amazon as far as an ebook, or you can get the paperback copy. You can also go to creatingyourwealth.org. That's creatingyourwealth.org. You can get it directly from me as a signed copy. And yeah, if y'all have any questions, man, definitely reach out. Like I said, I ain't hard to find. You can Google me. You know who I am. But I appreciate the both of y'all, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. Hit Dr. McCray up. We'll see you next time. Peace. We out. Thanks for coming through. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content. Also, ensure that you like us on IG. And also, you can listen to the audio version on all streaming formats like Apple and Spotify.